Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a part 2 on the Killer Instinct Hero 380. Excuse the neighbor dogs. Obviously I can't do anything about them, but I want to just look at the 380 a little more. Again, it's a windy day, so accuracy, I've been trying to get that dialed in. Got an issue with that, but I'm going to compare it to the Barnett Game Crusher, which I got, golly, it's got to be 7-8 years ago now. But just to kind of compare what I would consider one of Barnett's budget bows, which I paid $200 for. I believe it was $230 maybe. Anyways, it was a long time ago, so I can't remember exactly. But, you know, around the $200 range. And then obviously the Killer Instinct I got a steal on at $160. So I want to kind of compare those two, see which seems lighter. You guys have asked, got my fish scale out. I'm gonna see how much that Killer Instinct actually weighs, how much the Barnett one weighs, features I like about the Killer Instinct and what maybe I don't like so much, but also keeping in mind that thing is only $160. So enough talking, let's get into it and let's check some weights. So first things first, let's take a look at the two of these side by side. On the Killer Instinct you have a side quiver. The Barnett, it's underneath. I actually like the underneath probably more than I like the side, believe it or not. I think that's opposite of what most people would say. If you look at the width, I mean, these things are very, very, very similar, guys. Obviously, the Killer Instinct, its stock is open. This is closed. That's heavier duty, but the width and everything these are pretty much the same idea. 340 feet per second, 380 feet per second. And now I'm gonna show you guys the weights. So again, I'd like to apologize. I'm dealing with a fair amount of wind again today, but let's start with the Barnett and see how much that weighs. Turn my scale on. Show you guys, 0. So I'm hoping I can just hook this right on there. So it's bouncing around a little bit. There we go. So what we got is, it's gonna be backwards for you guys, but 8.91 for the Barnett Game Crusher. Now I'll get the Hero 380. So again, we're at 0. Now this is with scopes and everything on here. A couple of you have asked me to do that and see if it's actually close to what they're saying. So it is bouncing around again. All right, there we go. It's hard with that wind. Again, it's gonna be backwards, but you're looking at 7.57. So it is lighter, and it's 7.5 pounds. And I can actually tell just picking this up. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you pick up your crossbows one-handed. A lot of times I'll grab the back of it like that to lift it up. And I can just tell it is significantly lighter. Even though it's just a pound, a little over a pound, I think. I can just tell a difference. This being hollowed out is probably a big part of that. But definitely lighter, and it shoots a little faster, and it was only $160. So some things I like about this, I just like the looks up here. It's got the dampeners, which is nice. So this design of the limbs, the cams, these, That's all really nice, and it looks really, really sharp. And the rest of it is just plastic. It really is. It is nothing special, you know. It's not the end of the world. What you get with this, though, here, let me pull off the quiver. Again, you get the quiver, which holds more arrows. I talked about that in the last video. But this, your hand guard, is actually adjustable. So you can actually move this. There's a rail all along the bottom here. You can actually move that. Now my friend, he actually has one of these and he did adjust that. He was really excited that he could do that. So that is something you can do. I also think because it is your standard rail, I think you could get a pistol grip or a flip down grip for the front if you really wanted to. I'm not gonna try that just because I don't wanna buy one and I don't really like that grip. I actually have that on my Hyper Raptor and I don't use it a whole lot. But what you could get is, a little, like a 2-leg stand to put it down on. That would be really neat. This, just plain metal. I don't love metal, but it's also gonna last longer. So you just gotta be careful if you're putting an arrow in when you're in your stand. It can make a little noise if you're not careful, but let's be honest, you should be putting your arrow in right away. So that shouldn't be a problem. Right here, your safe and fire, there's not a huge, it's kind of confusing. When you move it forward, it's on fire, but it still looks like it's on safe. That's a little weird, but if you know your crossbow, you should be fine. If someone else is using your crossbow, you might want to make sure that they understand that part of it. But again, guys, $160. This, your foot stirrup, it is definitely cheaper. It's not very thick. I would like to see a thicker one, like is on the Game Crusher here. Let me grab that and show you. So if you look at the Game Crusher, it's just a thicker, more robust foot stirrup. I do like that quite a bit. So here you can see kind of side by side. It just looks better made. I'm not saying it is, but with it being a little more heavy duty, I do like that. But I mean, look at this one compared to the Killer Instinct. That thing definitely looks cooler as far as your cams and limbs. I would compare the scopes, but this actually isn't the original scope. That's actually a scope off of a Hyper Raptor, the one that broke. They actually let me keep my scope, so can't really compare the scopes. You know, Barnett's what I'm used to, but I don't really think there's anything wrong with the Killer Instinct scope. So as far as designs, as far as looks, they're very, very similar. I do like how the Killer Instinct looks. I like how the Barnett feels. The Barnett, it is heavier, but it feels maybe a little more solid. But I mean, that's really grasping at any type of difference I can find that I might not like about the Killer Instinct. So far, the only complaint that I actually have about the Killer Instinct is maybe the lack of accuracy with the arrows. Now, not the Hyper Raptor, I'm sorry. When you get a few crossbows, you get a little confused in your head. The Game Crusher actually shoots half moon nocks in the same length. I believe it's 20-inch bolts. So I'm gonna try to shoot those through the Killer Instinct later. But let's get some shots downrange. Let's see as far as accuracy what I think on a slightly less windy day. Spring, it's just always windy or rainy. But let's get some shots down here. Again, I'm not that far out. You know, I'm only starting at like 10 yards and hopefully I can move that out a little bit here as hopefully we can get some of that accuracy pinpointed down. So this is actually a generic rope cocker that I wanted to see how it works on the Killer Instinct here. just fine. All right, so already I'm having the same problem I had last time. Come take a look with me here at the target. So here you have a group, right? Where's that one going? And if this didn't happen last time, I think maybe it was a fluke. But for some reason, this one bolt always shoots high. Always shoots high. Makes it hard to sight it in if your one bolt is always shooting high. So I've heard complaints about the bolts from Killer Instinct and that you should just go buy some different bolts. And that might be what I do. But I also want to try shooting the Headhunter arrows, which Barnett makes. Well, Easton, I think, for Barnett. But I'm going to try shooting those. And I have always been extremely happy with the Headhunter arrows. My brother-in-law actually got a bow, and I told him between the Hyperflight and the Headhunters, I might prefer the Headhunter arrows. They're normal diameter, and they're just solid, good working bolts. So if you are looking at getting this Killer Instinct, know that bolts, you might have a couple that are shooting a little off. And I actually talked to my friend because I sent him one of these as well. It was such a good deal. He had the same problem. One of his bolts just doesn't quite match up with the rest of them. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so here is the Headhunter arrow. Again, I believe it's made by Easton. This one doesn't say, but I'm gonna compare it to the Killer Instinct arrow here. Or for your purist, the bolt. So these are both the same length. There we go. Same length, same knock. 20 inches. So I'm kind of curious. I think this one's a little heavier. I'm gonna shoot one of these and see what happens. I prefer these work just because I really like that Headhunter. No, I'm not gonna lie, shooting a Headhunter through a different crossbow does scare me because that's what blew up my Hyper Raptor. They did say you could shoot them though. Fits in there nicely. So look at that. It's on fire, but it still looks like it's on safe. It's just weird. Well, it didn't blow up. That makes me happy. So I don't actually know where it went. Now we're gonna have to dig it out of there and see where it actually went. I'm thinking it went right where it was supposed to and went right through the gaping hole that I accidentally cut with my broadhead last year. Let's dig in and find out. All right, so I'm pushing it back through. Oh, I hate to see that with the fletchings. But there you go, guys. I was aiming here, hit there. That's why I love those arrows. They're just accurate. Very, very accurate. Bolts. Sorry, I said arrows again. Bolts. So I'm gonna try to dial in the Killer Instinct a little bit. You guys have seen me shoot the Game Crusher in the past. That thing's just solid, does its job. I think this Killer Instinct is gonna be the same thing. Seems solid, launches it a little faster, it's a little lighter. So if you got kids, you know, if you're a lady and you want a lighter bow, if you're a man like me who has carpal tunnel in your wrist and you want a lighter bow, it's cheaper, shoots faster, and is lighter. I think there's a downside somewhere. I'm not seeing one. So, you know, the limbs look good. I know that's a worry with Killer Instinct on a lot of them. It's a lifetime warranty, so just check your limbs, and if you need new ones, let them know, right? Take care of your stuff. It takes care of you.